Hardcore mode is finally here for Kingdom Come Deliverance II, making navigation an important aspect of the game. Hello fellow gamers, RoboCharged here, to go over how to avoid getting lost, while successfully making your way around medieval Bohemia. So let's get to it. Alright, so this time around, there is a new way to reveal your position on the map that wasn't in the first KCD. Now you can simply ask NPCs where you are, and the game will then mark it for you temporarily. However, this is only an option as long as you don't choose the Bashful Negative perk. For the most part, it's usually best to stick to the roads whenever possible. That way you can rely on landmarks like shrines, buildings, and camps to figure out where you are. Even just a fork in the road or a rock formation off to the side, anything really that you can recognize and pinpoint on the map. You are also more likely to come across other travelers to ask on roadways as well. But when you do find yourself off the beaten path, you could use things like animal hunting spots to help figure out where you are, or try following a river or stream if you come across one until it leads you to anything familiar, maybe a road or even a village. Knowing your position on the map is one thing, but it's also important to have a sense of direction so that you know which way you want to head from there. When you pull up your map, north is up, south down, east to the right, and west is to the left. But how do you know which direction is which on your compass without them being marked? Well, as long as you manage to establish one direction, you can then turn and counting the lines, find any other direction you want. So for instance, if you know that this line here is north, then turning 2 lines to the right would point you east, or turning 2 lines to the left would be west. And swiveling around 4 lines either way would mean a 180-degree turn and leave you facing in the opposite direction to the south. So now let's take a look at some different ways we can find a direction to go off of. During daytime, the sun can be quite useful for this. It rises in the east, peaks to the south around midday, and sets in the west. Since Bohemia is located north of the equator, the sun will always arc across the southern sky. That means that the tip of any shadow it casts will point towards the north to some degree. Shadows shift from west to east over the course of the day opposite the sun. So in the morning, shadows will point just north of west, and in the evening, they'll be cast slightly north of east. You can track a shadow by standing on the tip of it in order to mark it. Then skip time ahead by an hour or so, and without moving, turn to find its new location, and then you know you're facing somewhat eastward. At noon, when the sun is at its highest point, shadows will be at their shortest, but they'll point due north since the sun is at due south. The moon can also be used to get your bearings as it also appears in the southern sky when visible, moving from east to west. But in order to make things easier and be more precise, I used the compass in normal mode to chart out the position of both the sun and moon for each hour of the day. I included both regions as I found some slight differences. These charts indicate which direction looking at the sun or moon will point you towards at the top of each hour. In most cases, these directions won't be exact, but they are the closest ones, meaning when you look right at the sun or moon at these times, the closest line on your compass will be the direction given. Just in case anyone wants to use it to reference while playing, I'll leave a link to this chart in the description. I also made another spreadsheet version for anyone who might prefer that format. Next, the stars offer another useful way to tell direction, as the night sky even includes accurate star placement. The best way is to find the North Star. Since the moon is south to some degree, the North Star can be found by looking in the opposite general area of the sky. So looking up away from the moon, it's usually going to be easiest to try and spot the Big Dipper first. Locating that will help you pick out the North Star, or Polaris, since the 2 stars on the end of the cup part of the Big Dipper kind of point it out. The North Star also makes up the end of the ladle for the Little Dipper. So if you can make it out, that's another way to distinguish the North Star from the others as well. And with the cursor on it, as you can see, it does indeed line up with the north. Finally, you can use landmarks on your map as another method to help establish a direction. When near a landmark, look at which direction it is from your position on the map. From there, you know when you turn towards it and line up the compass, the direction in which you are facing. And that sums up how you can effectively navigate in hardcore mode. Thanks for watching, and take care.